We hardly ever give them a second thought. But hidden deep inside the walls and underneath the floors of our homes, there's this incredibly complex network of pipes. It's a silent infrastructure that basically keeps our modern lives running smoothly. But what if I told you that this entire network is under constant attack?
So, let me ask you this. What do you think is your home's single biggest enemy? I mean, is it a big storm, a fire, or is it something else, something you've maybe never even considered? The answer is probably not what you think.
Well, here's the thing. Often, the most relentless, the most damaging enemy is the one you can't even see. It's the environment your home is literally built on, the soil, the water running through it, even the air. All of these things are waging a slow, constant war against your plumbing.
To really understand this unseen war, let's zero in on a place like Alexandria, Virginia. Why there? Because it's got this unique mix of soil, history, and water that creates, well, a perfect storm for all kinds of plumbing nightmares.
Okay, so it all kicks off with the very ground your house is sitting on. A lot of areas, including Alexandria, have this heavy clay soil, and this stuff, it basically acts like a giant sponge. When it's wet, it swells up, and when it's dry, it shrinks. Now imagine that happening over and over. That constant movement puts this immense, slow-motion pressure on any pipes buried in it, and eventually, snap. It can cause them to crack and break.
Now you add another problem on top of that shifting ground: aging infrastructure. Especially in historic areas, you have tons of homes built before the 1960s that are still using their original pipes. I want you to think of them like aging arteries in a body. After decades and decades of service, they start to corrode. And the scary part? It happens from the inside out.
And the main bad guy in this story? It's usually something called galvanized pipes. Now, what does that even mean? It's pretty simple, actually. It's just steel pipes that have been coated with a layer of zinc. And for its time, it was a pretty brilliant idea. That zinc layer was meant to corrode away first, protecting the steel. The problem is, it wasn't meant to last forever. After 50, maybe 60 years, that zinc coating is just gone. And the steel underneath starts to rust away, leading to leaks, terrible water pressure, you name it.
And get this, it's not even just about the pipes. The water that's flowing through them can be a huge problem too. Hard water, which is really common in areas that pull from rivers, is just packed with dissolved minerals. And over time, those minerals build up inside your pipes, creating this layer of rock-like gunk called scale. It literally slowly chokes off the water flow.
And then, of course, you've got the seasonal shock, the big one, frost and freezing. You see, when water freezes, it expands with unbelievable force. We're talking enough pressure to split a steel pipe wide open. This usually happens to pipes in unheated spaces. Think crawl spaces, attics, places like that. And when that ice finally thaws out, you are looking at a catastrophic flood.
Okay, so all these threats are invisible, right? But here's the good news. They are not silent. Your home is actually giving off warning signs all the time. The real key is learning how to decode those signals, to listen when your plumbing is basically crying out for help. Let's actually translate some of these signals. Think of it like learning your home's language. You ever hear that weird gurgling sound from your toilet? That's not random. It could easily be a blockage in your sewer line, maybe from that shifting clay soil we just talked about. Or how about suddenly getting terrible water pressure or brownish water? That is a classic, textbook sign that your old galvanized pipes are rotting from the inside. These aren't just little annoyances. They're symptoms of much bigger problems.
So, when you do spot one of these problems, what happens next? Well, that's when the professionals come in, and they have a whole playbook of advanced tactics to fight back. And trust me, it's way more than just using a plunger. It's about deploying the exact right strategy for that specific issue.
Let's take a common problem, clogs. Now, you might think a clog is a clog, but there are totally different ways to handle it. Snaking a drain is kind of like just punching a hole through the blockage. It works for simple things, but hydrojetting? That is a total system reset. It uses super high-pressure water to just blast away everything. Grease, that mineral scale, even tree roots. It scours the pipe walls completely clean. It's the difference between a quick temporary fix and a real long-term solution.
The pros also deal with some really critical safety stuff. A perfect example is something called a backflow preventer. What it is, essentially, is a one-way gate. It makes absolutely sure that dirty water from your property can't flow backward into the clean city water supply. It's not just a good idea, it's a vital part of protecting public health.
But you know what? The absolute best way to win this plumbing war isn't about just reacting when things go wrong. Nope. It's about having a proactive prevention plan. A simple defensive strategy can save you thousands of dollars and just a world of headaches.
And here's your battle plan. It's just 4 simple steps. First, locate your command switch. That's your main water shutoff valve. In an emergency, turning that off is your first move. Second, reinforce your defenses. Insulate any exposed pipes before winter hits. Third, flush the system. Once a year, drain your water heater to get all that damaging mineral gunk out. And finally, call in the scouts. A regular professional inspection can spot trouble long before it turns into a full-blown disaster.
Really, the biggest takeaway here is this. Being proactive isn't just another bill to pay. It's a serious investment in your home. The bottom line is, scheduled maintenance will always cost less than the chaos and the expense of an emergency repair. It's probably the smartest money you can spend.
And all this brings us to one last really important question. You now know about these invisible forces, these hidden enemies waging a quiet war on your home. You know the signals to watch for. So take a minute and really ask yourself, is your home's plumbing prepared for its next battle?